Hey guys, what's up? My name is Anna and welcome to my world. Today's video is going to be another true crime video, but definitely one that is different than what I've ever done before. My most recent true crime videos have all been of ones of the past, such as anywhere from like the 60s to into the 80s, and they have all been about or over like notorious serial killers. But today's video is going to be completely different, and the reason why is because honestly this one just completely took over my mind, and I started researching it and looking over it the other day. And what is different about this one is that this is actually current to today's times. This case is actively going over in the news today. It's all over like world news, etc., and it has just become a massive manhunt full of just a bunch of crazy different circumstances. And it just stuck out to me because I don't know, there's just so many different crazy things with this, and so I'm just gonna kind of stop like stalling on with it and go ahead and get right into the video. So if you are interested in learning about Lori Vallow and her missing children and the whole entire crazy mixed up case in general, then keep on watching today's video. Okay, you guys, so like I said, today's video is over Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, or Daybell, I'm gonna say Daybell. Lori is the mother of the two children who are missing, and Chad is their stepfather. And I just want to start out by saying that this goes way back, so there is tons to the story than just what has made it surface in the headlines today. So I definitely have to start back and just tell you all the crazy stuff. So first of all, I do want to say that this is in Idaho, this whole case. This is where these people lived, and this is where it kind of started. So Idaho is the location, and now let's get into the people themselves. So Lori Vallow is just, to me, looks like a normal lady, like kind of honestly like a rich lady that would just be minding her own business, going to workout classes like yoga or something, and drinking fancy coffees, and just not being the type of crazy that she really is. So anyway, Lori Vallow has two children that are missing at the moment, and this is kind of going to stem around this. She does have more children than the two, but we'll get there. So the two children that are missing are her 17-year-old daughter, Tylee, and then her son, JJ, who is autistic and is 7 years old. Now, Tylee is 17, and like I said, JJ is 7. And so those are the two children that have made this just, you know, this whole case come into the limelight because of what happened. But to back up, let me also introduce to you Chad Daybell. Now that is Lori's newest husband and stepfather to these two children. Now both of these people have been married before, Lori 5 whole times, and between the two of them they have 3 dead spouses. Yeah, so let's back up to that a little bit. So the former husband of Lori, his name is Charles, and Charles Vallow. Now he was murdered, so let's talk a little bit about that. So this has been going on over a couple of years, such as 2019 and now into 2020. And so basically what happened is that now Charles, who is Lori's former husband, actually wrote some stuff about Lori, and how is that Lori thought she was a god, and that she is basically assigned to bring out 144,000 at Christ's second coming to earth in 2020, in July of 2020 actually. So when I started to research this case, it was actually a little while before I even got to that part. Like at first I thought, from what I had read, that okay, they're crazy and they've killed their children, and like I don't know why, etc., etc. And then I got to the part where I was reading that she thought she was this god who was going to bring people for Christ's second coming, allegedly in July of 2020, and that she was a part of some type of cult, and was considered a doomsdayer. So like in the doomsday cult, and is known as a doomsdayer. Okay, so doomsday, they are a religious like group of people who believe in, you know, Christ's second coming very soon, and like wanting the world to end, but like these people are wanting to make the world end. And so that was pretty much part of what she was all about. And her husband, Charles, who I'm talking about right now, which is one of her past husbands, wrote about this. And like, so there is writing from him saying that she was like this. Now, I want to say, of course, Charles is deceased, and it's just crazy. So let's talk about it. So basically, Lori does have a brother by the name of Alex Cox. And so what was happening was Charles was going to visit the son, and whenever he came and got up with Lori, they started arguing and kind of got into some type of altercation. And Lori Vallow's brother Alex Cox actually shot and murdered Lori's husband Charles. Now, he claimed it was self-defense, and after claiming it was self-defense, nothing else was done of it, and the case was kind of like a shut situation. There was apparently an altercation, and he was protecting, you know, her or whatever he allegedly was protecting, whether it was her, himself. It's really sketchy, and that was pretty much the end of it. There was no questions, and he shot and killed him. Now, I also want to state that Lori Vallow's new husband, Chad, who is a part of this whole thing now, also had a wife named Tammy. Now, Tammy was also killed. Now, Tammy is also dead. And of course, I did say between both of them, they do have 3 spouses that are deceased, but these two are two that kind of started to make everything else come into play. That's why I am just focusing on them. So Tammy was, like I said, Chad's ex-wife. And so one day, Tammy, who was just 49, was coming home from the grocery store, and she was getting out of her car, like going back into the house and such. And anyway, when she was doing this, she was said to have been ambushed by somebody in a ski mask who had allegedly pointed a paint gun at her, something like that. So she called the police and did report of this. Now, that person ran off. She was not shot by whether it was a paint gun or a real gun, which honestly, I bet it was a real gun because of what I'm about to tell you. But there was a made attempt of an attack on her life. And so of course this is Tammy, Chad's wife. But after this incident happened, just 10 days later, Tammy was dead. And Chad called in and said that she just died peacefully in her sleep. Now, allegedly Tammy's father, Ron Douglas, told a TV station that Chad had called him crying, saying that Tammy had some kind of crazy coughing fit the night before and then just never woke up in the morning. And now keep in mind, Chad and Tammy had been married for like 30 years, and literally just 2 weeks after her death, he was running off to Hawaii to marry Lori Vallow. So let's just talk about how crazy that is. So Lori has this husband who was shot by her brother right around that time. Just, you know, I mean, there is a little bit of, you know, leeway with that. But Chad's wife, Tammy, first of all, there was an attempt on her life. Second of all, she died of natural causes, which, because of what Chad said about how she died peacefully, etc., etc., the police didn't look into it, and she was just buried. So now we can see some of that sketchy stuff happening. And then one more crazy thing that happened right before Tammy's death actually involved a man named Brandon Bordeaux. Now, Brandon Bordeaux was Lori's niece's husband. And anyway, he was actually in the middle of a divorce with her niece when he was driving home in Gilbert, Arizona, and all of a sudden a bullet came whizzing into his vehicle. Now, he survived, like nothing happened, but the vehicle that the bullet came out of was registered in the late Charles Vallow's name. So that's crazy, and that situation right there happened in a week of the attempt on Tammy's life. But anyway, like I said, all of that crazy stuff happened, and believe I left off with Lori and Chad getting married in Hawaii. Now, I want to kind of touch on how Lori and Chad met. So Chad actually was an author. He wrote a couple of books, but these books were all over like the second coming of Christ, based on the Mormon faith. So like I said, basically these books were over like doomsday kind of things and near-death experiences, and the actual names of these books are, and I will read them off, Days of Fury, Evading Babylon, and the Rise of Zion. And there was also a memoir, Living on the Edge of Heaven, which catalogs what he says were his own near-death experiences. And anyway, Lori was said to have like read these books. I guess they just hit it off, and somehow because of his books, of course, she found him, and that's how they pretty much got together. Now, Lori herself actually had a podcast, and it was over this type of stuff, such as doomsday kind of stuff. So you can kind of tell that there's some really crazy stuff going on, and in my opinion, if I sit down and I just rationally think, they had to have killed them. I mean, they have had to have like planned their murder and had them killed / killed them themselves, because I mean, I think almost anyone can rationally think that there is just no way that like between the two of them, 3 spouses have been dead, and by these crazy coincidences, I mean, it all just points to them, especially with their beliefs and being a part of this doomsday cult, wanting the world to end, trying to get it to end, her claiming she's a god, and is wanting to bring the 144,000 people to Christ's second coming in July of 2020, which, by the way, let's just see if that actually happens in July, because, yeah. Anyway, so let's actually go ahead and kind of get into what is going on now, why this is in the media, and everything like that. So of course, Lori has her 2 children, Tylee, who is 17, and JJ, who is 7 and is autistic. These children have been missing since September of 2019. So it was said that JJ was at school, and this was in September, and his last day that the teacher saw him was in September. And they did a wellness check around November because her parents wanted to see if they were okay. Now, what I truly don't understand, just right off the bat before I get into any more of this, is why it took them so long to see if these kids were okay. Especially with school how it is, I know that you can get truancy letters. I think that's the word, because I know people who have gotten them before. I have not, but I do know people. If you miss too much school, or like, you know, they're gonna try to check in on you. So what happened, I don't know. Did maybe the parents lied? Possibly, I don't know. I do know Lori has been, to some people, denying her children's existence. Like, she's basically been saying that JJ and Tylee don't even exist. And to some people, she's actually saying that Tylee died years ago. And so she's kind of just telling different people different things at this point. But back then, before that was even happening, what took them so long? Like, I don't know. That part is still a little weird to me. So anyway, in November, the police were going to question Lori and Chad about the missing children. And when they went to go do it, Lori and Chad were missing. They just up and left. So Lori and Chad ran off to Kauai, Hawaii after the police tried to do this checkup in November, and they are still in Hawaii. The police stopped them, asked them, searched them. The kids, you know, were nowhere to be found. And like I said, Lori to some people has literally been denying their existence or saying that Tylee had been dead for quite a while. And so it's extremely weird. She does have other children, which her older son pleaded to his mother to bring the children home, to say where they're at. The kids' paternal grandparents are really, really worried, obviously, about the children and are pleading for their return and to know where they're at. The media has followed up on Lori and Chad and questioned them and saying, where are your children? And they're like, I'm not going to answer that. And so it's been extremely sketchy, and the police have tried to find where these children are, but they're not wanting to cooperate. I do want to state now as well, since the children are nowhere to be found, they have actually exhumed Tammy's body, which is, you know, Chad's former wife, to actually do a test on her to see if it really was natural causes that killed her, because I mean, I'm pretty sure it was not. So that is being looked into. So they are starting to actually do more with this now to find out maybe some more things that could help somehow. Unfortunately, Charles cannot be exhumed because he was cremated, but they are still trying to get some information with the death of Tammy. Sorry guys, my camera died. But anyway, like I was saying, they are trying to figure out everything that they can with the body of Tammy now, just to see and to kind of confirm that, you know, if there was foul play involved. And the children are still nowhere to be found. They haven't since September, and they are just not wanting to come forth with any information. So it's not even like in this case that the parents are like,
oh my gosh, I just want my children to be back home safe, and I just want them to be okay.
They're just acting like nothing's wrong, which is so sketch. It is so sus. Like, they're not even trying to fake it. Like, and that is something that is just crazy to me. And anyway, like I said, Lori's older son has pleaded for their return, and the paternal grandparents have as well. I'm going to read you a little bit from what they have personally said to the news. So Larry, who is the grandfather, said, "I just want those kids back. Please show us where those kids are. Please tell me, I'll go get them, and I don't care where they're at. I'll go get them." And then Kay, the grandmother, said that she's got all the attention on her. Good, bad, or indifferent, and it's going to be bad if she doesn't show up. And then the news lady asked Larry himself, like, do you think that Lori is going to come forth with these children? And this is what Larry said. "Do I believe? Yes, I want to believe that she will. But do I think she's going to bring them? Honestly, no." And I want to mention that because of this issue and because of Lori and Chad's no faking, like they don't know what happened and like they want them back, because they are like so stone cold about this and acting like they don't give a care, that the police actually set a deadline for Lori. They actually told Lori that she has 5 days to bring her children to them, to a couple of different locations, whether it's a police station, child services, something like that. She had 5 days. And if she did not bring the children to one of those locations in 5 days, then she is facing arrest and punishment. So I just want to say that this has been going on recently. It is going on right now. And let me just look at the date. The Thursday deadline was actually January 27th of 2020. It was just the other day. And Lori, of course, did not bring the children on the 27th. So they are still missing. There has still been no word of them since September. Lori and Chad are just living in Hawaii, you know, acting like they don't care and are refusing to give any info. The ongoing stuff with Tammy's body and, you know, doing that autopsy there, still going on. And we have no idea. So if I sit here and think, based on my opinion, which by the way, I want to know your opinions on this whole case. I want to know what you think is going on. I want to know where you think the children are, whether you think they're dead or they have them somewhere. Let me know down below. I'm so curious. And so anyway, this is what I think. At first, before I knew all the crazy cult stuff, I thought, okay, well, something is just obviously wrong with these people and they've like killed them. Kind of like the Chris Watts thing. Like how he killed his children. Well, I thought, you know, something happened with them and they killed their children, right? But now, although I feel like most of myself is wanting to lean towards that she did kill the kids, Chad as well, they both probably did, I still think that possibly they could have them trapped somewhere as part of their whole doomsday thing, like the cult. I feel like someone could have them like trapped. They could be tied up somewhere. Something even, they could be like a sacrifice situation. That sounds terrible, but when I think of cults and like the whole doomsday thing, that's what comes to my mind. So I either think unfortunately these children are dead, or they're probably in great danger, locked up or tied up somewhere. And whether, you know, it's either one of those, I have no idea, and it doesn't look like they're gonna give the information anytime soon. So it's just crazy. I want to know you guys' opinion. Please let me know down below. I am definitely going to keep up with this case and make a part 2 whenever any more information comes out or anything is resolved. Let me know down below if you enjoyed this video, although sad, so I guess enjoy is kind of a little odd word to put. But if you liked hearing about this and if you find it interesting and to want to know more about it in the future, let me know if you want that part 2. And let me know what you think happened. This is just crazy. All of the info of the things that have happened even before the kids went missing, leading up to the kids going missing, to the doomsday cult situation, is just absolutely crazy to me. And the cult thing gives me Charles Manson vibes. It's just crazy. But anyway, that is it for today's true crime video. If you want to see more and you have any other requests for other true crime cases, let me know down below as well. And please make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, which you can do by hitting my face right up there. You can also watch another one of my videos by clicking right over there, and it would mean the world to me if you would do so. And I hope you guys have a great day or night or whenever you may be watching this, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.